Welcome to the August 1st meeting, 2023 Redevelopment Commission Redevelopment Commission for City of Charlestown. We'll start off Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's have a roll call. John Spencer.
Here.
Bonnie Brooks. Here. Anita Pate.
Here.
BJ Steele is here. Derek Holmes is out today. That's the reason why I'm up here.
He's out of town.
Oh, he's out of town, that's right. Hope he's having a good time. All right, so we have you all were provided a copy of approval of minutes and claims. If you had time to review them, any questions or comments? I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve those minutes.
Motion by John.
I'll make a second.
Need a second. Any other questions? No? Okay. Vote. Aye.
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 Aye. Pass. I don't believe anyone signed up for public comment, so we'll keep on going down to do we want to do,
You go back and do the claims.
I thought I did both of them.
You did minutes and claims?
Yeah, is
Okay.
that okay?
Is that okay with people
Better do
that
it
made
again.
the,
Do the claims.
claims again?
All right.
Sorry.
I didn't hear you do
I thought we
claims.
could combine them, so make it go a little quicker. So, okay, will you provide the claims as well?
Make a motion we approve those claims.
All right, motion by John. Second. Second by Bobby. You vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
No one had signed up for public comment.
We just want to give you enough time.
The consultant report's next, but did we need to, I didn't know if since the fire department was here, did we need to move that? Is there any urgency to
It's up
get out?
to you, whatever you want to do.
Oh, okay, well, we can do the consultant.
Okay. We still have conversations with various people regarding commercial and residential development. The Charlestown Flats project, I should say, all of you received a copy of my report in your meeting packet, so I'll just go over a few things. The Charlestown Flats project, they feel that their application, they resubmitted their application for tax credits to IHCDA. They feel that they're in a good position. We don't know, obviously, until someone makes that decision, but according to some information that they received, they feel pretty good about that being funded. So now it's trying to plug the hole that the ready funds that they couldn't access because they didn't have the IHCDA tax credits. We're working with IEDC to see what their options are and how to fill that $2.4 million gap. So, restaurant revolving loan fund, that documentation, the establishing ordinances and language is in the attorney's hands. City attorney, council attorney, redevelopment commission attorney to iron all that out. Springville Manor, we do have some draft letters. I wanted, since those will be sent out by the redevelopment commission president and the contact will be made to the redevelopment commission president, I wanted Derek to see those before we do anything with them. So once he reviews those, Frost Brown Todd has prepared them. Once Derek reviews them, then I'll send it out to everyone else just so we can get your okay on those, and then we can send those out. And potential property acquisitions, we've talked about two. One is property behind the old Dollar General store, and then the other is this H&R Block property that's listed and for sale or on the market. And we're still waiting on appraisals back for both of those because we have to get at least 2 appraisals before we can move forward with that. So that's where we're at. And also, you received in the claims and fund report, then just want to make note that you received your first tax installment, so your TIF revenue has come through. And that is about what we expected. a little bit more than what Baker Tilly had estimated in some earlier numbers when we were putting some things together for the Forest Edge bond. But, so that's good. That's what I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer those.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Moving on to the facade improvements, 800 Park Street, Charlestown Volunteer Fire Department.
Yeah.
All right,
How y'all done?
good.
Good. Yeah. Now, I've requested, I've seen it, and I've talked to Tony Jackson about it, and he said, it's all. I knew I was gonna do some improvements, and, obviously, we're putting a new standing seam roof on right now. Just trying to make the area, because we got that new building done where Subway's at, you know, just trying to, obviously, we need a new roof, so we went ahead and did that. Then I actually put in for that, and then the time frame just wasn't right. So we're getting ready to, it's gonna be a multi kind of, like I'm gonna put new garage doors up, is what I submitted for. And just change the facade up, just gonna have barn style lights on the front and just different things like that. So just, looking for, a little help in the aspect of the garage doors. So, now I'm John Heel, by the way, I'm chief, just so you know.
Nice to meet you, Chief.
And that, so just to remind everyone of the process, like the chief filled out that application, submitted to Tony's office, Tony looks through it, Tony Jackson looks through it for all the planning and zoning aspect, then sends it on to us. And like the chief said, we talked to him because some of the work had already started or was going to start before we could approve this, so we just kind of pieced out some of it. So both of the garage door quotes were over the $20,000, so his request is actually for $10,000. And we've reviewed that, we have 2 quotes for that, which was in your packet. We also included the quotes that they sent for the roof and the lighting, just so you'd have the whole
Yeah.
package.
I sent everything.
Yeah, and so we would recommend that you approve that, based on it fitting the program requirements.
I make a motion that we approve the application for this site.
Okay, any other discussion? Do I get a second? A second. All right, all four say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Depot Street, Forest Edge revitalization.
So I'll just go down through, I have sent the report on the update for the closing. We thought we might be able to have a closing this week. It looks like the earliest we'll be able to close is possibly August the 10th. Now, there were several issues that some we were working through, then now the developer has an issue that they're working through, but it looks like as of the call this morning that we should know by next Tuesday whether we can close as early as the 10th or not. So we're getting there. I think the major obstacles, we've gone through those. It's just people getting their paperwork together now on their lender's end to be able to go through their committees and such. So we're getting closer. And we've talked about trying to reschedule a groundbreaking, and so the city is working with Denton Floyd's PR people to try to set some type of a groundbreaking, which we had originally hoped would have been earlier this month, but that didn't work out, so.
So what happened with the billboard?
So what happened with the billboard is that Denton Floyd had a previous relationship with the billboard company and was able to negotiate something with the billboard company. So that was out of the city's hands. They decided to take that, which I think, I'm not gonna look at the mayor, but I think we're all grateful that they were able to do that and make that work. So the billboard issue is done. It's my understanding that agreement has been signed between Denton Floyd and the billboard company. But as that was going on, then something else happened with their financing, so now they're fixing that. It's not anything major, it's just something that takes time because other people have to approve it in order for them to move forward, so.
Thank you.
Utility relocation, BOT is complete, but there is some site work that still needs to be done. As a part of that, that won't happen until after we close with them for it. So that'll still be open until then, and then I think that will officially be closed after they do some additional site work. Madison Street update, I see Adam's here. If you'd like to give your own update, you can. It's up to you.
You
Okay.
can go ahead.
So, HMB and the mayor, and I was able to sit in on that and talk about, Madison Street reconstruction. So, some different options that the mayor and HMB, are gonna work with the residents to see, what works best with them. If you all are very familiar with that street, then there's some issues that we have to deal with there as far as right-of-way and accessibility and drainage. And so we're getting closer to having a resolution to that.
Yeah, our plan would be to bring that back once we have had a little bit of input from the residents to ensure that the options that we look at are satisfactory to them.
Okay. So you're thinking next meeting maybe?
Yeah, I think that's probably a reasonable timeline, certainly by the meeting after, if not.
And we're not while we want to keep moving, at some point, we would have to stop and kind of wait until the Forest Edge project was a little bit further along so that we could coordinate, with that. So we wanted to start soon enough, but not get too far ahead. So I think our schedule is meshing very well with that of the Forest Edge construction schedule.
Okay.
So if we don't have something next meeting, that's not gonna hold us up, is all I wanted to
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I get you.
let you all know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right, moving on, Shadow Lake project, Jocelyn, got an update?
Sure. At the last meeting, we gave the update that Quality Court was gonna get paved, so actually the day before school started, we got Quality Court paved right behind the school, so the milling, paving, curb, everything across the school property is done with the exception of surface asphalt and seed and straw. The detention basin is complete. We've been working with Tubby and the city to take care of some drainage items behind Woodford, sort of on school property, so working with school for some improvements, working with Tubby. So those things are ongoing, but should be wrapped up here in the next week or so. Following that, the road is cut in all the way across. We started with storm sewer, been ramming a little bit of rock over the last couple of weeks, so we're putting in storm sewer. We got approval from IDEM and the Corps so that we could finish the last piece of road to cut in, which is on the small pond that we have, so that's happening. Things are moving along. Progress on the building, as you'll see in pictures, siding up all over the maintenance facility, and the office facility is coming along with walls starting to get studded up. So, anything I could answer for you all?
It's looking good.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Josh. Shadow Lake Park update. We have
Hi.
video. Hi.
Yes. So I'm going to give a presentation on, we're calling it 70 Acre Park, but just because it's 70 acres and we're in the visioning stage, so as it becomes officially named, we'll move in that direction. I didn't bring hard copies, but we do have a link to the presentation that we'll share afterwards. So I'm going to jump into it. So my name is Catherine Puckett. I'm a landscape architect with HWC. This is the team I'm working with. Sally Hughes is here as well, and Rebecca Mahoney is another landscape architect that has been critical in this design, and she was unable to be here today. But we have had the great fortune to work with the city on not only this project, but the Parks Master Plan, which is kind of where this came from. So I just wanted to give you a brief background. We finished the master plan in 2020. And within that plan, you can see the graphic on the right. Some of the analysis we do is looking at land efficiency in a community where parks may need to go in the future as the population grows and residential areas expand. So the areas in red were some areas that we had identified as kind of lack of service areas. And the mayor was very good about kind of communicating that in different meetings she was in once the park plan was done. And for that reason, a landowner heard about this deficiency and said, I have some land. So it was really kind of jaw-dropping. We do a lot of parks planning at HWC, and that has never happened that easily. So we were very, very excited about it. So then from there, the city asked us to work on sort of a visioning conceptual master plan. So this is the property. It's about 70 acres, located on High Jackson Road. And this is the site. Really beautiful landscape, kind of those typical rolling hills that you see in this area. Some mature vegetation, and then sort of a dry creek bed. Was dry at the time of our couple site visits, but there's obvious detail that water does flow through that area. Oops, we skipped one. So during the process, we started with visioning, and in that we talked with a number of different groups throughout the community, with the design team and the city team. So the landowner was one, for sure, kind of getting their input on what they would want to see the property turn into. The steering committee that's in this image you're looking at, and then youth activities directors from different leagues throughout the city were talked to, as well as high school students, knowing that kind of a lot of these parks that we're laying in these planning projects are for kind of the next generation. And then there was a virtual stakeholder meeting as well that was held. So with all that visioning, we kind of took all this input in, and then we developed a program. So the program kind of includes basically this big wish list of all these things that these different stakeholders would really like to see. So the first was a community center, creating this building space that really has flex multi-purpose areas for indoor events, even things like maybe an indoor playground for wintertime activity, but kind of a central hub place that you could do theater camps, you could do any type of different community activity. It could be rented to make money. So that's kind of the idea behind the community center. We also talked about performance space and amphitheater, and this idea of kind of multi-use space that's covered, or covered courts we're calling it. Doesn't necessarily have to be sports space. Again, it could be rented, maybe a big church picnic or activities like that, but provide shade and rain cover. Another thing that we heard a lot throughout the Parks Plan and also during the stakeholder was this idea of nature play. Sally and Rebecca and I actually had the opportunity to go to Bernheim and see their play ecosystem recently, which was really impressive, just all the research that's been done about how children react to nature play versus kind of that traditional play equipment. This property just seems ideal for something like that, so that those images are kind of describing that. The other thing we kind of talked about was public art and developing that unique character to this area, to this community, identity signage or identity pieces, maybe using local artists to kind of give this place some unique flair. And then another idea was tree houses, challenge courses, kind of taking advantage again of that nature idea. And then boardwalks and nature decks is something we looked at as well, kind of developing this contemplative space that people can kind of get away in a public park. And then finally, and probably the most important thing we've heard, was trails and accessibility. And so that was something that I think across the board, everyone said they would love to see more of. So with the program, then we looked at the site and did a little bit of analysis of what's out there now and how we could apply the program to the space. So first we looked at there's some existing transmission lines that kind of crisscross across the site, so there's some requirements with that. You can go into that space, but obviously you have to be aware of it being overhead. We also looked at topography, so this is a slope analysis map. The red is showing you the steepest slopes, the yellow is a little less steep, and then the spaces that are not colored in are kind of the flattest in the area, 5% or less, which is all an accessible cross slope. So that kind of helps us see where are those areas that would make sense for like a parking lot or a building footprint. And then this image is kind of just a simple analysis of what was existing. There's agricultural field, the light green was the kind of grass prairie area, and then the dark green was the existing tree canopy. And this kind of shows it all together, which I think really kind of identifies that space in the western portion of the site that is the flattest area, free of utilities, free of kind of existing trees that would not have to be cut down, as kind of an ideal location for this community center building idea. So then we came about 2 different concepts that were kind of loose sketches, and then met with the steering committee, reviewed those, and then came to our final master plan, which is shown here. So I'm gonna enlarge it in 2 sides and kind of talk through that quickly and then show some renderings of it. So the first side, this is kind of the western portion. This was looking at that placement of the building, kind of between where existing trees are and where it's the most flat in topography. But the idea was to bring an entrance drive off of High Jackson to the south, into the site, and kind of curve it around to the north and have a secondary entrance off of High Jackson to the northwest portion of the site. And place the building in the middle, so it's centrally located. Number 11 would be that kind of amphitheater idea where you could do small performances or have different programming. I could even see that being rented for a wedding. And then the retention area is the light blue, kind of amoeba shape, so that's how much we're anticipating that would be needed to accommodate the building and all the parking. That entrance road, as it kind of curves up and around, we've also thought, as a trail follows that, that could potentially be sort of this food truck spot, tents, farmer's market type thing for different events and activities. Number 19 was an open area that doesn't have trees in it, that's fairly flat, that could be graded and seeded for sort of a multi-purpose activity field. You know, sports teams could come out and practice, not necessarily striped for any specific sport, but kind of a field, a place that people could land. And then as you curve up into the right, number 16 would be maybe that nature play space, 17 would be the covered courts. And then as you move kind of off the screen to the next side, you get into sort of more of those nature-focused elements. So this side is the side with more steep topography, so your accessible trails are going to be more challenging. We would see boardwalks and steps, you know, in some routes steps, and then other routes that are accessible using ramp and boardwalk. But we're kind of seeing challenge courses, those nature decks, contemplative space, but this is kind of these different sized loops of trails that people can take, dog walking and bird viewing, just kind of being out in nature and enjoying themselves. So these are a couple of different perspective renderings that we put together to just kind of help you visualize what it could be. So that's that entrance drive idea where you could potentially kind of fit that out for food trucks and tents and have your kind of larger events out in that space if you might be outgrowing some of your current spaces. This rendering really kind of captures, I think, a lot of the vision that we heard, lots of trails, kind of prairie, natural spaces, maybe some identity artwork, and then that covered pavilion for more active spaces. This is an amphitheater idea, stepping out of the building, out of the community center, down towards the retention pond and the boardwalk. And then this is that nature deck idea, contemplative space, whether that's yoga or some other type of program, but we see that space to the east really kind of being the space where you would not be able to see a road or homes or anything. You'd really kind of be engulfed in nature at that point. So as a part of this, we like to do kind of the landscape architecture hand waving, wouldn't this be cool? But we also like to look at things with a more realistic lens and how are you going to implement this and get this built. So we've divided this up into 3 phases for implementation as an idea. It wouldn't have to necessarily go this route, but it's one thought we had. So the idea with this in the first phase is to get this park open and accessible to the community as soon as possible. The idea would be to limit the scope, give yourself some time to kind of figure out the community centerpiece, and instead build a trailhead, build a small entrance drive with trailhead features, maybe a small shade shelter, small parking lot, get a mile of trail built, get a nice loop in there that people can really see the space and enjoy themselves, and just let people start using the space as soon as possible. And with that one, we got to about 1.2 million, and that's construction and soft costs included. The second phase it keeps that green first phase, that loop all intact, and then starts to build in the community center, the larger parking lot. Retention area would have to come with the building. The boardwalk, the amphitheater, performance space, and then site furnishing and landscape. The magenta arrow shows that boardwalk and trail and kind of completing a smaller loop around the community center. So with that, we were at about 14.5 million. So we worked with an architect to get a square footage cost for a 25,000 square foot building, and they said that ranges anywhere from $300 to $350 a square foot for something like that. Obviously, this is a visioning process, so there'd be a lot of detail to go into it. But the biggest chunk out of that 14.5 is the building. And then the last phase we're showing, that's where you would then start to grade out your multipurpose, or your sports fields, your multipurpose courts, the covered pavilion, your nature play, kind of those other cool elements, the treehouse, a prairie overlook as you start to kind of expand into that east side of the property. So that, with all the grading and kind of the challenges with accessible trails, you start to get into boardwalk and some bigger expenses there. So that came to 2.5 million construction soft costs. So those three phases are kind of where we stopped as sort of giving you a list of to-dos. But we just really feel like this project came about kind of serendipitously with the Parks Plan pointing out this deficiency. Finding the land so quickly was really exciting. Now you have this vision. I think the next step is kind of starting to implement this for the next generation. So I'll take questions if you have them.
Yeah, this was a very impressive presentation, thank you. During the analysis, have you all gotten any feedback from our law enforcement agency on how we grow through the phases, they will be able to contain and secure and make sure it's safe as things are implemented?
We have not. I would say as we would go into schematic design, where we would actually get a survey of the site and go into design, that's when we would start to really get into those details of how it would all function with that. I think it's an excellent point, especially if you're gonna have a lot of events and things out in that area. But as far as this conceptual visioning, we don't get into that level of detail.
About it, if phase one, if something was to happen there, like what type of a time frame is that? Is that like a year-long process for construction? I know there's.
Right, no, that's a good question. I would say typically, our design process for a trail and trailhead like that, we just recently did a project that was very similar in Crawfordsville. It was probably about a 6-month process as far as going through design and permitting, and then bidding, and then construction is typically kind of one complete construction season. So, depending on weather and when it's bid, could be anywhere from 9 to 12 months. So that's what we're kind of seeing as far as that goes. The other, I guess, caveat would be, depending on how you do the funding, if you're looking to go after grant funding, that can add a whole nother timeline to it.
Look very promising, so.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation.
I can update the board on the next steps from here. The feedback we received from the steering committee and the community groups is that they would want to take this and then see it and have time to comment on it and expand, talk about programming and what might go there. So I am actually meeting with the landowner tomorrow. I wanted this to be your presentation first before it went out into the public domain, so now it is public. So I'm meeting with her tomorrow to go over all this in detail, to get her feedback on it, to see specifically what she wants to name it. She did have some naming preferences in there, and get her response to this design. And then we have some community listening sessions already penciled in, 3 opportunities. So we're gonna have this information out at the city's tent for community days on Saturday, September 16th from 4 to 6, where people can come and view and take a closer look. We also have the Arts and Enrichment Center reserved for Tuesday, September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. Same opportunity to come, basically hear the same presentation with staff and see this. And then again on Thursday, October 12th from 6 to 8. We felt like that was 3 different nights of the week, 3 different opportunities for people to engage. And then Brian Smith, our media director, is also working on a digital feedback form. Same as we always do, we give people an opportunity in person, but also want to make sure that they have time and availability to just type a survey response if they prefer. So again, making sure the community has ample opportunity to provide feedback along the way.
Thank you. All right, let's see.
BJ, way of figuring that out. Is the link gonna be available soon to us, did you say?
Yes.
For the presentation?
Yep.
You can email it, or how you gonna distribute that?
I can get
Could-
it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if you send it
Do
to
you
me,
have
I'll
it?
send it to them. I don't
Okay,
have it, no.
Okay, I think that's.
You just send me the
Yep,
link
yep,
then,
I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure.
and I can get it. I'll work with the mayor to get it for you.
Now, Jill, the disposal of property utilities.
Yes, so the other piece of, and part of this park is the electric substation that we know is necessary to be able to develop Shadow Lake and beyond. And so, as you probably recall, we went through a process to where in order to try to dispose of the property, we have to go through some process. We did that. We obtained 2 independent appraisals, survey, and offered that through a formal request for proposals. That was advertised on July 15th. The due date was yesterday at noon, and we received no responses for that. So, I don't know that we really anticipated receiving any responses for that, but moving forward then, we can begin to work with Hoosier Energy to continue to discuss their plans to expand in that area. There is a 30-day cooling off or waiting period, so we can't formally do anything with anyone else until after that 30-day period's up, which starts today. So depending on how you count, I'm going to say the 30th, that we would be able to do something. So by your next redevelopment commission meeting, hopefully we'll have something for you to review prior to that and be able to move forward with something at your September meeting.
Okay. All right, moving on, the family activities park, depot, project update.
I had an update in my report, and I know that construction has started. There was a groundbreaking for that. And as you saw in your claims registered, then some of the furnishings, for lack of better furnishings, equipment have been ordered, purchased, so I think we're moving right along there. Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to say about that?
All the equipment has been purchased with the exception of some of the equipment for the coffee smoothie bar. And they were supposed to start, I haven't been out to the site yesterday or today, but they're supposed to start pouring concrete today. So it's moving along.
Okay. Good deal. All right, corridor study.
On the corridor study, we had hoped to have something present this month, but some of the planning team was out of the office, and so we are going to review the draft, I believe it's next week with them. So we should have a more formal presentation to give to you at your next meeting and send that out before. And I guess moving right along to Greenway Park.
Greenway Park.
Mike Harris is at a conference, couldn't be here today. They are still waiting on the comments back and the DNR permit that they submitted. And at a previous meeting, we decided to hold off on bidding until we actually got that permit and those comments so that we didn't have to do any type of revisions to that. So if the commission members, I know that it's been probably 2 months since I sent out those plans and specifications. Mike has not heard any comment back, and that's fine, but if you have comment on that or concerns, then please reach out to him or me so that we can address those before that goes out to bid.
Okay. New business, anything up for discussion? Anybody got anything? No? All right. Next meeting is Tuesday, September 5th at 6. So I'm assuming this doesn't follow a holiday or anything, so we're.
Yeah, the holiday's the day before.
Yes, so. And ask for a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion. Second. Second by Bobby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.
What do you mean?